All right. We are going to move to our next guest, Laith Marouf, the man himself, on scene, on location. On location. Laith Marouf, he's an award-winning multimedia producer and media law consultant focused on issues of liberation and decolonization from indigenous nations to Arab peoples and building broadcasting capabilities to misrepresented and underrepresented communities around the world. You can find him on Free Palestine TV on Twitter and yeah, that's correct. Free Palestine Video. That's the other one. Laith, how you doing, my man? You doing okay?
Doing great. Happy birthday. I just heard
Thank you.
from your other guest that it is your birthday. So happy birthday. And I want to say that I almost didn't make it to this interview.
What happened?
We were just in Kafar Kila, one of the villages that are right on the border, just down the hill here.
Yeah.
And we noticed that the cop car was leaking gasoline and its tires were blown up. So we stopped to figure out what's happening, and that's when we realized that the cop car was hit by a missile, a sharp missile from the drone. And
Really?
as I'm filming, I look on top of me, and the drone is right on top of me, and we had to jump in the car, and it followed us until we left the village. So it was a very dangerous situation. And we found a coffee shop here on the road. We stopped, and that's when I remembered that we have an interview coming up. So I almost missed the interview because of the
Potential death.
the potential death. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
Yes.
but this is how vicious the Zionists are. It's unbelievable.
Laith, that is, you freak me out, man. And I know that's not you. That's nothing you're doing. It's just Jesus Christ. But you know what? That's good for people to hear because it gives context to what people are living through, just going about their day, getting
Yeah, and
coffee.
we have it on camera. We filmed the whole thing. As I said, I was coming out of the car, starting to film the damage to the police car, and that's when we have the signs that says press on top of the car, but it still was a dangerous situation. That's when we realized literally that most of the town had evacuated because of this attack. We didn't realize that the attack was directed towards the police car. We had heard that there was an attack and we wanted to film the damage. There was no reporting yet on what was the target of this attack. But if we knew that the police and the fire truck beside it were the ones that were targeted by the drone, that would have indicated to us that the situation is too dangerous to enter.
Yeah.
Look, it's part of the job. I didn't choose to, do this work because of a glory to it or anything like this. And by the way, this is Hadi Hadid. You can see him in the background there.
Oh,
Hadi's
there he
always-
is. Okay. Yeah. How's
He's
it going,
behind the
F. Heidi?
camera.
Yeah.
And he's either behind the wheels or behind the camera most of the time. Hadi is the
Cameraman
backbone of
and the
this
driver.
work. He's also the indigenous person from this region that gives me all the information that I need and knows when to go and when not to go. Most of the time, we have more information to be able to make that decision of not going on in the field. But today, this is what happens.
Laith. Jesus Christ. That is terrifying. And I played the video about those school kids in Lebanon. Those, I think they might have been like 3 years old, and how Israel nearly murdered all of them in the school, just screaming. And it tries to give context to, because look, as Americans, we don't get that, right? We can't fathom what it's like to live under constant bombardment, or under where you don't know if the coffee shop you're drinking in is going to get hit by a random missile. And honestly, putting press on your roof is just, red to a bull. They seem to have a hard on for murdering journalists. beliefs. That's what it seems like. I want to get your take on the video. And I'm not going to linger on this, but considering this is Lebanon and considering Tom Barrack is the U.S. envoy, degenerate trash that he is to Lebanon, I want to get your point of view on what this animal is effectively saying in this video.
One could take their.
I'm not going after him. No. Morgan, go. Hey, wait. It's not going to go. Hello. Hey, wait. We're waiting on a different set of rules, right? You want, please be quiet for a moment. And I want to tell you something. The moment that this starts becoming like animalistic, we're gone. So you want to know what's happening? Act civilized, act kind, act tolerant. What's happening in the region? So I beg you, do you think this is fun for us? Do you think this is economically beneficial? This insanity in cadence?
Now, just to be clear, just so the audience and everybody else knows what Tom Barrack got up there and said. He said, I need you all to act civilized. I can't have you acting animalistic like this. This is the problem with the region. And you need to basically chill out, be calm, etc. Tell the audience why Tom Barrack is in the region in the first place, please.
Yeah, I mean, number one, he is the house slave, collaborating Arab. He has Lebanese background. His family is from Lebanon. And so he's kind of the house slave that is sent to Lebanon to try to get the uppity field slaves in line with what master wants. And so he's here trying to pressure the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah so the Zionists can have no enemy or opponent that could fight them back in Lebanon. And obviously, to hear Tom Barrack use this word animalistic when he's discussing the indigenous people, the journalists that are there, this is a breach of protocol. It's humiliation for these media workers. And, when you compare it to how the American media treated President Putin when he was visiting Alaska during that Trump-Putin summit, you see that, the American media are not anything that Barack could describe as civilized, and that this is part and parcel of freedom of speech and freedom of the media is for the media to be able to question and interrogate centers of power. Obviously, we saw how the Trump administration has been treating American media in general. The language that Barack and the way that he was speaking to the Lebanese media is very similar to how Trump was speaking to American media, how he humiliated multiple American medias. And in fact, the American media establishment has capitulated to Trump, as we saw with the NBC, television station NBC selling its news outlet to a Zionist, and to have Barry Weiss control it just because of the lawsuit that Trump launched against them. So, of course, Barack would believe that if Trump can do that to American media, why can't he do it to Lebanese media too? And obviously, the majority of the Lebanese media in that room are imperialist, pro-American, and they were very reserved, didn't say anything back to Barack. And in fact, we saw a slew of these media try to, dampen down the damage of Barak using this language. There was at least 20 different journalists here in Lebanon that were arguing that he didn't use the word animalistic, that he used this word animalistic with an O, and that it has a totally different meaning in the dictionary. And that was really funny to watch. But what was even more humiliating to this media is that Barak came out after 24 hours of this campaign trying to convince everybody that he didn't use the word animalistic, actually apologizing for using the word animalistic. So he humiliated his own, groupies that were trying to justify his use. Another thing that happened since then is yesterday Barak gave an interview to Israeli media, and in this interview he said that Israel currently doesn't acknowledge the Sykes-Picot borders, and will be acting as it wishes anywhere in the region. Will not care about the existence of other governments or armies or what have you. So this is the second or third time that Barak speaks about Sykes-Picot as something that doesn't exist. It is mind-boggling because most of the people in the region here have fought for unification and against Sykes-Picot for 80 years, if not more, and were killed and hunted by the West. Anyone that tried to erase the Sykes-Picot borders, and now it is Israel that's one that wants to erase those Sykes-Picot borders and to have a greater Israel project, and it's the United States that supports that. So we're living in a really weird time of history, but Barak is one of those indicators of how weird the world is now.
Yeah, they're saying it openly. They're not hiding the ball. They're talking about this greater Israel thing. They're feeling themselves at this point. I'm thinking that they can effectively pull this off. What do you make of Iran? So Iran, God, man, Iran is so weird to me. So Iran went to the European leaders, vassal states of the United States, the same people who condemned them when they were attacked by Israel. And ostensibly the same people were passing over information in order to get the Iranian scientists killed. They go to them to try to prevent, I guess, them from putting in snapback sanctions associated with the JCPOA. Now, this is the JCPOA that Iran stuck with for a year after the United States pulled out, and that the European leaders didn't live up to fulfilling their commitments to. But nevertheless, snapback sanctions. Iran immediately puts in legislation to try to pull out of the the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, effectively just saying this is going to be null and void if this is what you guys are going to do. Do you think that something is effectively brewing? Because Russia has pulled out of its ambassadors from their embassy. The United States has pulled, I guess, from my understanding, troops from their Iraqi base. And so there's this belief that something is brewing, that these countries are aware of, and they're maneuvering in order to kind of, I guess, get ahead of. I mean, Russia's apparently working with Iranians to beef up their air defense and repair their air defense. And of course, the U.S. has been arming Israel hand and fist, sending THAAD missiles to the region. So obviously, Israel is preparing for something. Give me your take on this.
The war that happened, that 12-day war, didn't conclude this battle. There was no satisfying conclusion to either the Americans or the Israelis or the Iranians, for that matter. And so it was clear from the beginnings, the end of that 12-day war, that there will be a second round. The Iranians are right now the only state in the region that still is 100% anti-Zionist, anti-imperialist, and sovereigntist, and has the weapons and the military to fight back. So clearly the Zionists will not leave them with this power and capabilities, if they want to create a greater Israel, they will be in their way. Similar to what we see here with the attempt to disarm Hezbollah, because Hezbollah's existence is the only thing that's keeping Lebanon a country that is not occupied fully. So, all these pressures that are mounting on Iran are indications that we are going to return to some kind of hostilities. I don't know when, where. Is it going to be Lebanon that's going to be attacked before, and Hezbollah and or Iran? It's not clear which one will come first. But part of all this media and diplomatic, brouhaha and that is happening is to distract Iran itself, have its state institutions get engulfed in this fight over the nuclear deal and the possibility of return of sanctions. So now you have the foreign affairs of Iran being embroiled in this battle, while the state needs to be concentrating on actual facts on the ground of how is it going to be able to defend itself if a new war happens. I don't know how far Russia is involved in the restructuring of the air defenses of Iran. I don't know how much Iran wants Russia involved in that. Those are all questions I don't have answers for. But it's very clear that we will return to hostilities somehow. Not when. The issue is not when, but it's it's not that it's not going to happen, or if it's going to happen. It's just a question of when.
When. I'm curious whether Hezbollah will get involved in that, because my rationale for it is that, for all intents and purposes, what trash human excrement Tom Barrett is there to do is to create political chaos by trying to get and put pressure on the government, working in coordination with Israel, by the way, to disarm Hezbollah, which is not going to happen, which means you're only going to end up with political chaos. This is why Israel is continuously doing attacks. This is also while trying to get Wahhabists to also attack. So it's like all of these pincers are trying to press down on Lebanon at one time while political chaos is taking place. Hezbollah will be well within its right, if Israel does indeed attack Iran, to get involved while Iran responds. Do you see that happening effectively, this kind of reorganization, or this re-upping of the resistance, attacking in tandem with one another, as opposed to these kind of disparate actions?
Look, if we look at the 12-day war with Iran, we will realize that Hezbollah didn't get involved at that time. And that would have been something that if somebody told me before the 12-day war, I wouldn't have believed it. And everybody expected Hezbollah to have gotten involved. And so if that's an indication, most probably Hezbollah will not get involved if Iran is attacked again. That's one thing. The other thing is that the Iranian government and the head of the strategic council of Iran that was here, Araghchi, last week, when the pressures mounted on disarming Hezbollah, I think the message that he brought to the Lebanese government is that Hezbollah will not instigate a war with Israel now, and that's a guarantee that Iran is putting forward, as long as the Lebanese government and the Americans and Israel do not attack Hezbollah or try to disarm it. So those are things that people wouldn't have dreamt of a year ago. The damage, the losses that Hezbollah has suffered require it to reorganize and rearm and restructure itself. And the regional situation has changed with the fall of Syria. So the supply route non-existent through Syria, for instance, and or the fact that these Wahhabi death squads right now are on the borders of Lebanon. Those are all things that indicate that Hezbollah is not going to throw itself into a war, but it will defend itself if it's attacked. Now, I think Hezbollah has already reorganized and has rearmed and has now new plans of how to defend the country differently than it did last time, and what things may trigger it starting a war. Okay, those are all, also things that Hezbollah is not going to announce this time. It's everything. Ambiguity right now is one of the main powers that Hezbollah has. Prior to Al-Aqsa flood, Hezbollah bragging about its efforts was a deterrent. Now, the deterrent to the Zionists is not knowing what the hell is going to happen if they attack Hezbollah, and what capabilities does Hezbollah have, or who are the new strategic thinkers in Hezbollah militarily, and what kind of plans may they come up with. All of these things will remain, I believe, hidden until we're in the middle of a war, and that's a good strategy for Hezbollah for now.
Do you think any of it has to do with, and I don't know this, which is why I'm asking it, Hezbollah feeling somewhat betrayed by Iran not getting involved when Hezbollah was attacked?
No, I don't think so. Because you see, look, Hezbollah sees Iran as the most important base that has to be protected at any cost. That
I see.
As long as you have Iran, you can rebuild the smaller militias and factions and so forth around the region. But if Iran is damaged or falls to Zionist control, imperialist control, the efforts to liberate the region will be 100 years behind. Because this is a state, Iran is a huge state with a huge population, a lot of resources, and has been stable since 1979, and educated and graduated thousands upon thousands of scientists and so forth. So that's definitely the most important base to keep safe, the last. So Hezbollah was not going to expect Iran to come and fight on its behalf, or drag Iran in a war that it hasn't planned for. But having said this, I don't know really how Hezbollah will respond the next time Iran is attacked, if there is other plans. Again, this is all part of this ambiguity, which is strategic at this moment. So, but if we just judge it on the last 2 years, we can see that both Iran and Hezbollah didn't get involved in the wars when they were the target. The other was the target, and that's something that they probably already planned.
Considering what happened, was that a mistake? Meaning, was combining their forces a stronger entity against Israel as opposed to being this kind of diversification of concerns? Like, for example, going from one country to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, where each country could see itself getting destroyed, but not doing anything in tandem. And I don't know the answer to this, because there could be other reasons that are taking place. So this is not me criticizing. I'm asking just as a question. If all of the Hezbollah, Iran, Hamas, all of these factions attack Israel at once, would that have been a stronger option, considering what Israel has been doing, effectively isolating, destroying, and moving on to the next?
Look, October 8th, I would have said yes, they should have all jumped together on board and had a regional battle and end Israel. But those were emotions speaking. If we look right now on the reality is that the West today, 2 years into a broadcasted Holocaust, are justifying this Holocaust, are arming this Holocaust, are giving it diplomatic and legal protection, are stripping their own citizens of rights to continue supporting this Holocaust. They're jailing thousands upon thousands of people. They're beating women and children and youth in the streets of Berlin and New York and London on a daily basis. Thousands of people are already jailed in Germany and the UK and so forth. And this is 2 years into a Holocaust, right? So imagine on October 8th or October 7th, if the combined forces of the Axis of Resistance attacked the Zionist colony. I personally believe if the Zionist colony didn't use nuclear weapons at that moment, that the West would have used those nuclear weapons on Tehran, on Damascus, on Beirut, on Baghdad, on Sana'a. And they wouldn't have had any qualms with it. And at that point, their own population wouldn't have had any problem with it either. It is only the 2 years of a broadcasted Holocaust that changed the public opinion in the West. Okay? So given those considerations, I think the organizers of October 7th, Al-Aqsa flood, Sinwar and Al-Daif in Gaza, knew that this is what's going to happen, that there will need to be a broadcasted Holocaust, that this broadcasted Holocaust needs to drag on for years in order to, number one, create so much, discontent within Western societies that the security of those states themselves is now in question. The chasm between the public opinion in the UK, in the US, in Canada, and Germany, and that of the actions of their states is so wide right now that there is, possibilities of maybe rebellion. In the US, there could be armed rebellion, okay, at some point. And that in order for us to destroy the Zionist colony without falling into a nuclear war and dragging all of the world into it and ending humanity, as the Armageddonists within the Zionists and the Christian Zionists and the Jewish Zionists want to bring Armageddon. They would love to have a chance to start nuking Earth and bring, the end of times. So without doing that, the only way we can do this is to drag it as long as it's possible. The human cost will be large on the indigenous people in the region, but it will be less costly than a nuclear holocaust.
It's dark. That is dark. I understand your point. I understand. Because you're right. It's in the United States today, the overwhelming majority of the people who are looking at it thinks Israel is out of its mind and under no circumstances support what Israel is doing. That is the first time that I'm aware of a poll coming out like that with that stat. And as you point out, in Japan, Australia, all of these countries, you have people who are looking at this mortified, even to the point where the governments feel like they're forced to, pretend to care. Pretending at the very least gets across that they feel like there's too much public pressure on them to pretend. So I do get your point. Wow. Last question, I suppose, what time is it? If there is an exchange between Israel and Iran, where do you think it goes this time? How far does Iran push? Because last time Iran pulled their punches once again. Yes, they did a lot of damage, but all things being equal, they were willing to say, okay, if you stop, we'll stop. Whereas many of us were like, why are you stopping? They're obviously out of air defense. You obviously have an advantage to press. But maybe not. Who knows? We don't have access to what Iran has in their stores. I guess my thing is, where do you think it goes this time around? Israel, from my understanding, they've deported like 1,000 or more people talking about Iran of spies. So they're trying to go after the spy network that was able to damage air defense and damage many of the ability to respond. Give me your take on that. Do you think Iran pulls its punches? Do you think Iran goes for the liberation of Gaza at this point? Where do you think they go if this does indeed turn into an exchange?
Yes, I think definitely it will be a different kind of war, and it will be a longer battle than the 12 days. I don't think the uh, battle will stop the way it did last time. The situation is changing for the Zionists themselves also. They are overstretched, exhausted. Their forces in Gaza trying to occupy the Gaza city, and the U.S. and the whole Western NATO military-industrial complex is stretched to this max. The U.S. Keeps on calming down the situation here, and then raising the stakes in Ukraine, and then calming it in Ukraine and raising it here. I think if there is another war, and that Iran is part of this war, although in my opinion, I have a feeling that there will be an attack on Lebanon before there's an attack on Iran. But if there is a war on Iran, this time there will be much bigger destruction. I think the United States will have to do something different than it did last time, and that maybe this time Iran will also target infrastructure in the region of countries that are vassals of the US, like the oil and gas fields of the Gulf kingdoms. Will it be the last war? I don't know. I have a feeling that in general, look, there's one more year maximum in the life of the Zionist colony. And I'm not saying this, out of just hopes. I'm saying this because of looking at the reality, those tectonic shifts that we saw in the West, the opinions of the populace, the total loss of control of media by the Zionists. I don't think they're even trying to win any propaganda war anymore, the Zionists. So those are all indications that we just need to drag this for another year and it's all over. The Zionist forces on the ground are exhausted. The old have either died on the battlefield, and now you have crazy fascist youth from the settlements in the West Bank that are being thrown into Gaza, that have no strategic understanding of things and are just making things worse in terms of the image of the Zionist colony through their real animalistic and satanic behavior in the strip. So I think this existence of the Zionist colony is nearing its end. Will they trigger a war with Iran that will give them an excuse to use nuclear weapons just to save off the collapse of the Zionist colony? Will that actually save off the collapse of the Zionist colony, or will it trigger other parties on the planet to fire nuclear weapons on them, like Pakistan or North Korea or Belarus? So those are, no matter what, it's clear the end is near for the Zionist colony. It's just, I personally still cannot imagine how this ending is going to unfold or how bloody it's going to be. But it is going to be bloody.
I'm sorry, permit me one more question. Because you bring up a really good point. They know they're going to get hit. Meaning, the fact that Israel had a war of 12 days, even if they think they won, they fully understand that the toll that they took was unimaginable from their point of view. They had no idea that Iran was as strong as it was. So them going into a second war means they're going into it knowing full well that the damage that was done in the previous war hasn't been repaired, and that Iran has capabilities to hit them. Like Iran wasn't even using his best missiles, apparently. What do you think is in their minds? I know I have the saying, racist people don't see the world clearly, but this seems on some level suicide if they're going to do this. They're a country of 8 million. Iran could hit every square inch of Israel. They have to know that. And the air defense was like a knife through butter. What do you think is on Israel's mind that they're trying to accomplish with this? Because obviously, I don't think they can win.
Yes, they definitely supremacy and the being stuck in the bunker for now almost 2 years, and having this seeing they are seeing the social media that me and you are looking at, and seeing how the whole world hates them now. Only wackos like Israel right now. This is entrenching them in their position deeper and deeper, and they always were in a bubble of colonial mentality, but now this is like an iron bubble. Not even thoughts from other colonialist societies are reaching them. So I don't think they can make rational decisions in that manner. Actually, the messianic Armageddon rhetoric that is now normalized in Israeli media, from the top prime minister mouth to the smallest soldier on the ground, that are using this messianic and Armageddonist language. I think in their mind, even if the world ends, they are still, going to be supreme, that they are the chosen people, and they'll be lifted to heaven, and all of us will be killed. You see what I mean? So because of this, no matter what option they have in front of them, they think it's the greatest option, even if it means burning the whole world. Like, why would they be bringing the red heifer, trying to genetically modify a red heifer, if this was a sane society, right?
Yeah.
It's clear that they actually believe they are bringing the end of the world, and they don't fear it. They want the end of the world.
Even God needs a hand, apparently, genetically modifying a red heifer. Laith, you have my deepest appreciation, man. Please be safe to the degree that you can. I know it's a dangerous area, but please be safe. Laith Marouf, just for the audience, Laith Marouf is an award-winning multimedia policy producer and policy law consultant focused on issues of liberation and decolonization from indigenous nations to Arab peoples, and building broadcasting capabilities for misrepresented and underrepresented communities around the world. You can follow Laith on Twitter at Free Palestine TV, and you can find him on YouTube. On the internet at freepalestine.video. You're awesome, Laith. Thank you for this, man.
Thank you very much, Jamal. See you soon, and happy birthday once more.
And the birthday is Sunday, but thank you. I appreciate that. You have a good
All
one,
right,
man.
so that was somebody spread rumors there, and it wasn't me. Okay.
No, that was Alex. It was like a pre-birthday. No, but it's okay. I'll take it for Sunday. Thank you, man. You be safe, okay?
Right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. We are going to go from one damn good